సార్ లైవ్ వస్తుంది, స్క్రీన్ షేర్ అవ్వలేదు. ఇప్పుడు వస్తుంది సార్. ఓకే, లైవ్ కూడా రన్
ఓకేనా?
అవుతుంది. ఓకే సార్,
లైవ్
కూడా వస్తుంది సార్.
ఓకే done. Okay, good afternoon, friends. So we are entering into the last unit, that's on transformational leadership. So before getting into the details of transformational leadership, I prefer to spend with you an hour or so on leadership approaches. I think you might have already had these different styles of leadership and all that. But again, context permits me to take you through the basic approaches of leadership. And then we can in detail talk on transformational leadership with some exercise also that we can do in the next session. But today I would like to devote completely on the leadership concept and the approaches of leadership today. So it is something like leading with the purpose and impact, because most of the organizations today are under stressful situations, and you need to answer it through leadership characteristic of yours. That's what it means when we talk about leadership as such. You must lead today's organizations with a purpose and an impact, because it's a highly competitive driven market. Let's examine. There are two dimensions, when we talk about leading others in an organization, leading people in an organization. Look at this VUCA world picture here. VUCA means here V is for volatility, C is for uncertainty, U is for uncertainty, and C is for complexity, and A is for ambiguity. See here in this dimension, two-dimensional diagram, you see on the x-axis we take how much do you know about the situation, because situation is not constant and you have to face competitive situations as such. What is yesterday is not what is today, and what is today may not be equal to what is tomorrow, because it's organizations are in a journey. So that's one we need to know. How much do you know about the present situation, assessment as such. Second, on the y-axis you see how well can you predict the outcomes of your actions. It's very interesting. See, you will be taking some decisions, right? You'll be influencing people for better results, taking some important decisions. Now, how good are you? Can you predict the outcomes of your actions you're taking? So this is very interesting. So in this two-dimensional chart, let's see how difficult it would be to lead the present day organizations and to lead present day organization centric human resources as such. Let's see. For example, let's take on x-axis and y-axis, we say from on x-axis from left to right, and on y-axis from I'm just showing it, this low to high, and here it is low to high here. Could you get the diagram here, please? Hello, are you there? Could you see my cursor? Yeah, cursor is moving from low to high, and here from low to high. Is it okay? Could you get the point? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Please respond. Otherwise, I don't know what happens. Please, quickly respond when there is a question, because you don't know this what you call virtual platform. That's why. Okay. Let's examine here. How much do you know about the situation is very low. You don't know what actually the things are happening and all that. You don't know. Second is you're not sure about the outcomes of your actions also. Say when I act something like this and that, you don't know what will be the outcome. Here is a very problematic situation. Here you are here. This is ambiguous. Complete ambiguity means unclear, lack of clarity about everything, about everything, managing of an event, meaning of an event, what is happening, you don't know. Say, for example, let's take uh, coming to this side. See, this is high. What is high here? You can be able to predict the outcome of your actions. That's you can predict what happens and all that when you do something. It is high, but you are very poor. Again, here you see you are very poor in assessing the situation. So you are poor in assessing the situation, but you are sure that what can be the actions. I mean, what are the outcomes you can predict the outcomes of your actions. But this is called complexity because multiple key decision factors will be there here because of the fact that you don't know about the present situation. But మీరు యాక్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు కానీ హౌ వాట్ ఆర్ ద అవుట్కమ్స్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ యాక్షన్స్ యూ కెన్ ఏబుల్ టు డూ దాట్ assess, but you are so low in assessing the situation. When you are so low in assessing the situation, your actions can derail, actions can be defective. Now coming to this uncertainty scenario, where of course how much do you know about the situation? You are high here. That means you clearly assess the situation, what is to be done and what is not to be done, and all that. But on the y axis, you're not sure to predict the outcomes of your actions. You're not sure what happens if you act something, you act this way, what happens, you act that way, what happens. So, when this is a problem area here, this is called uncertainty. That means you are completely unclear about the present, what to do. You just don't know. But you can assess the situation. But what to do and all that, you are so low here. You can't predict the outcomes of your actions. Look at here. You are very high on assessing the situation, and you are also high in predicting the outcomes of your actions. This is what we call volatility, and this is the rate of change that is taking place, and you're sure to manage this change. If you cannot manage this change, this volatility, you're gone. See, please note, this is a VUCA world: volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, and complexity. Uncertainty, ambiguity, complexity, meaning here highly volatile. So look at this graph. This is the VUCA world scenario that is presented here. Okay, let's come into the concept of leadership as such. Leadership is the ability to influence group towards the achievement of goals. Please note here, it's a people factor. We have been talking about the concept of importance of resources in an organization earlier also. We have physical resources, technical resources, financial resources, and human resources. We have already said earlier in number of sessions that it's a human centric organization. We have to see the human side of the enterprise. So the human resources must be utilized to the optimum level, and it is a leader who can be able to influence group of people towards the achievement of organizational goals. That's the leadership as such. What is then is management again. Of course, management means here it's an authority given by the stakeholders. So that is inherent in designated formal rank to obtain complaints from organizational members. Simply what they are doing, what you say something to them, and they will be doing something. So what happens is you will be looking at the complaints. Complaints and means what they are expected to do, they are doing it. You check whether they are doing it or not, expected to do or not. I mean, you'll be touching upon those areas of concern. They are expected to do something. Yeah, you'll be checking whether they are doing it right or wrong. That's complaints. So leadership is management plus. That's why we said it's management plus, because you're able to influence people for better results, influence group of people for better results. This is a very difficult task. Let us examine what are the theories that talk about leadership. There are very many theories. We just would like to brush up for the sake of convenience. There is one important leadership theory, what is called trait theory. I hope you have heard about this trait theory. Have you heard about this trait theory? Anybody? In the earlier sessions we were talking.
సార్ స్టార్టింగ్లో ఉన్నట్టు గుర్తొస్తుంది సార్.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is trait theory. Trait means the qualities. Theories that consider personality, social, physical, or intellectual traits that differentiate leaders from non-leaders. Meaning that the leaders supposed to be branded as leaders must have a particular personality dimension, and they have the social skill. They should be physically sound and alert, and they should also have intellectual ability to handle difficult situations as such. So in that particular process, we would be describing few leadership traits. One is extraversion, second one is conscientiousness, third one is openness, and fourth one is emotional intelligence. Apart from different traits, we have four important traits. For the sake of importance, we have listed out. Extroversion means you should have a necessary social skill to get together. That's the difference between introversion and extroversion. Extrovert people will be sociable, they'll be linking themselves with others very freely, they don't have any hesitation to mingle with others and function well. Conscientiousness is a very big personality trait out of five personality traits that normally be described. So what it means that a person should be responsible, a person should be dependable, a person should be organized, and a person should be very careful in the process of leading and managing organization resources. That is called conscientiousness. Openness is openness for feedback. You do not have any filters, open to feedback, and openly talk, discuss, and mingle with people and take feedback. Two-way process. Then, of course, emotional intelligence is all about, because dealing with people is dealing with emotions. Human being is partly rational and partly emotional. So the mental excitements must be handled properly. So a leader should have an emotional intelligence, in the sense that he must be in a position to, understand his emotions and also manage the emotions of all others, subordinates or colleagues or whatever. So, but then is trait theory holds good, or is trait theory be given what do you call a green card by saying that okay, it's a good theory to explain about leadership? No, there are certain limitations here. No universal traits found that predict leadership in all situations. Please note, this is a dynamic concept. The organizations may undergo changes. The group of people who are holding different situations also differ in their opinions, attitudes, etc. So, no universal trait found that perfect leadership in all situations. Situation one is different, situation two is different, situation three is different, like that. Then, there is unclear evidence of the cause and effect of relationship of the leadership traits. See, if you have a leadership trait, this can be the outcome. No, there is an unclear evidence of the cause and effect. It means that you have a trait of conscientious behavior. Does it mean that you can have the result expected? No, there is no clear evidence that this, if you exhibit what you call extroversion, like sociable and all that, you should get a positively motivated people at work. No, the evidence may not be clear here to say cause and effect. Means if you have this trait, you will have this outcome automatically. That's not automatic. And three is better predictor of the appearance of leadership, that distinguishing effective and ineffective leaders. That's very important here. There are, just by appearing, we cannot distinguish between who is effective, who is ineffective as such. Just because you have a trait, XYZ traits, you can't say that he is a good leader, because of the dynamic format in which leader member relationships work. So trade theory cannot be cannot be blanketly just like that, can't be accepted as a superior theory. So traits example we have already talked about it: extroversion, consciousness, openness, etc. Here assumption is people are there, people are born, leaders are born. So select the leaders. The assumption and the goal like that. Now this is again a problem area when we talk about leaders are born. Do you accept leaders are born? The fundamental concept called leaders are born. If you assume that the leaders are born, yes, the goal would be selecting the leaders. But the problems here are traits do not generalize across situations, mind it. X trait may fail in Y situation. A person with X trait may go good in X situation. A person of the same X trait may not go good in Y situation. Reasons may be very many. So it is better at predicting leader emergence than leader effectiveness. That means leaders are not simply born. Just like that, you can't select leaders. You have to make leaders sometimes. That's what we call leadership development. We come to that little later. So we want leader, not simply leader emergence, but we want leader effectiveness. How effective the leader is leading the team of people and in turn leading the organizational goal process as such. And next one would be when we're talking about traits, we're talking about qualities. In the second set, we'll be talking about behavioral theories, the functionality, behavioral theories of leadership. Theories proposing that specific behaviors differentiate leaders from non leaders. See, for example, we may say in the earlier sessions also, we were talking about how you demonstrate your trait through your behavior. For example, you have an excellent trait, but you need to demonstrate it through your behavior. So behavioral theories talk about that. Theories proposing that specific behaviors differentiate leaders from non-leaders. So behavioral theory says leadership behaviors can be taught. Trait theory says leaders are born, not made. Which one do you agree? Leaders are born, not made. No, leaders can be made now. Leaders may be born, but leaders can also be made. That's what leadership development is all about. You can influence the behavior of the leaders as such. So behavioral theories count on that. So there are a good number of studies on behavioral approach, like Ohio State studies, Michigan studies, and all that. We shall come to that just now. And that's actually the assumption is leaders can be trained. Leaders can be trained. So goal is develop leaders. Leadership can be trained. Yes. Goal is develop leaders. Now, the problem is effective behaviors do not generalize across situations again. An effective leader in X situation may not be effective in Y situation because there's no universal principle that work there. Because the texture of the organizations change and the culture of the organization is also not similar and situations also are not similar as such. But then you need to consider that. Wherein here in the Michigan studies or Ohio studies, you see there are two dimensions. One is initiating structure, production orientation, and consideration and employee orientation. Let's see what are these things in. I have just mentioned here in brief. When you get into the detailed discussion, we can understand. So let's see. What is initiating structure? We were talking about it just now. The extent to which a leader is likely to define the structure of the organization or the role and those of subordinates in search of goal attainment. Meaning, organization is set for certain goals. In search of goal attainment, you have to define the structure of your role and also the subordinates role. That is called initiating structure. That's why most of the organization initiate structures like hierarchical systems, Jordic relationships. Your boss, your subordinate, your peer relationships are there. In some other organizations, there's what we call an amoeba structure, what we call it, wherein there is no official leadership, leader subordinate formats, and leaderless teams also will be there as such. Sometimes, of the dynamic organizational structures will have this kind of a thing scenario. Okay, that's initiating structure. Then about consideration. What is this consideration? The extent to which the leader is likely to have job relationships characterized by, very important, mutual trust, respect for subordinates' ideas, and regard for their feelings. This is consideration. Just because having a structure, initiating a structure, everything may not go good, because there are principal partners in the growth process of the company or your subordinate employees. So you should have a mutual, I mean, there should be a climate of mutual trust, respecting each other, and regarding, taking cognizance of the feelings of people at work. That is what we call initiating structure versus consideration. Same, Michigan studies also found out the same thing. One is employee centered leader. Who is employee centered leader? Emphasizing interpersonal relationships, taking personal interest in the needs of the employees, and accepting individual differences among members. Because they are very much worried about employee centric behaviors. That means um, not ignoring task, but they are interested in employee well-being. So emphasizing interpersonal relations here, taking personal interest in the needs of the employees. So if a person is of this type of an orientation, he's called as employee oriented leader. Second, production oriented leader. Those leaders who emphasize technical or task aspects of the job. They may not, of course, it does not mean that they don't consider the employees, but the emphasis would be on production centric instead of people centric. So that's one. In Michigan studies, there are two types identified: employee centered, employee oriented leader, and production oriented leader. See, we have to be somewhere in between. Anyway, that's it. Michigan studies. So this is what it means actually when we talk about the theories altogether. It's explained by a very beautiful model by Blake and Mountain. This is called managerial grid. Managerial grid, mind it. See, this is again a two-dimensional graph sheet. Two-dimensional graph sheet. See, this is two-dimensional graph sheet. On x-axis, we talk about concern for production, and on y-axis, we talk about concern for people. There are people here, and there are also tasks, goals that are to be achieved. Mind it that it is a joint effort in achieving the organization objectives. You as a leader and your team should jointly work together, right? Let's see. If you consider, we have just now talking about no in different models, like are you employee centered or you task centered? Here, just see, on concern of production, say low to high. Same here on y-axis, from below to top, right? From bottom to top, you have from low to high. And concern for production, left to right, from low to high. Let us examine the 5 important blocks which try to describe the leadership styles. Am I clear? Leadership, what you call qualities of the leader. Let's see. Concern, this is what we call 1-1, meaning concern for production is 1, lowest, and concern for people also is the lowest. See, this is the problem area. What is 1 and 1? Sorry, excuse me. What is 1? Very low concern for production, very low concern for people. So this is, say, very bad state of leadership as such. Am I clear what I'm saying? So this is not right. Now let's examine this. 1-9. One is low concern for production and high concern for people, meaning you're not bothered about the task, production, goal, but you are more bothered about relationships manager. So this is 1 9. This is also your relationship oriented, but not task oriented. You are relationship oriented, meaning you are not interested to inconvenience the employees with whom you are working, but at the same time your style is such that you're not at all concerned about the production. So this is again, at the end of the day, what is important? Production, target, achievement of the goal, everything is important. Okay, that's it. Coming to this one, 9 9. 9 9 is a absolutely important team leader is called, meaning that 9 9 means what? 9 is concern for people, which is high, and 9 here is concern for production, which is also high. 9 9, and this is very ideal. No, of course it may not be possible for you to have this kind of a thing, but anyway, if you happen to be here, yes, 9 9 is an extremely good leadership posture. Coming to 9 1. 9 1, please note what happens. 9 is concern for production is 9. Concern for production is 9. That means you give importance to goal achievement and work to be done and all. And relationship is 1. Relationship orientation is 1. That means you do not care about people. Concern for people is low. So this is the taskmaster. See, my importance is only for task, not for relationships. So this is again problem area, and maybe temporarily you may win, but at the same time, people may be resisting your style, resisting your instructions or whatever, because you do not care for their own problems or whatever it is. So now, what is 5 5? This is middle of the road, what we call it. Somewhere concern for production, and somewhere you are there with concern for people via media. Here it is called. This is called 5 5 style. I'm just describing. Before we talk in terms of transformational leadership, I would like to touch upon certain important leadership approaches that have been already described by researchers. That's what I'm giving you. Okay, then another thing, what we call situational leadership by Hersey Blanchard. Leadership styles and follow readiness. Very, very important here. See, there are people who are working with you, and you don't know about their maturity levels. Maturity means again job maturity, and their ability to be what we call to be together as such. Psychological maturity and job maturity. Job maturity is all about the ability to do the job well. Psychological maturity is willingness to work. See, this is a very interesting thing here. See, for people factor only, you have ability and willingness questions. For machines, you don't have. For human beings only. That's the complexity here in leadership scenarios of influencing people at work. In case of a physical resource like a machine, there may be an ability question, meaning that the machine may work, may be able to solve a particular problem, or may not be able to solve a particular problem, but willingness will not be there. Psychological maturity problem is that is absurd to talk in terms of machines or whatever it is, because what happens if the machine is made according to a specification, it is absolutely be there working for you. Yes, it will be able, and it will be willing also. Have you ever seen when you operate a computer or a laptop, have you ever seen that I'm sorry, I am experiencing a lot of fatigue and all that, please kindly switch off the system and switch on after 25 minutes or 30 minutes? That is absolutely nonsensical. If there's a snag in the system, it may be hanged, system may be hanging, but otherwise it will be willing to work. But in case of people factor, you have ability one and willingness the other. Yeah, they are able to work, but they're not willing to work, because maybe because of the fact that the circumstances are not okay, and his mental wavelengths are not okay when handling a particular job. Lot of issues. are there. So let's examine what the things mean here for us in a matrix we present here. See, on x-axis again, follower readiness. Follower readiness is in two aspects. One is willingness and another is ability. See, now they are able, they are unable, they are unwilling, they are willing. Look at the blocks now. Let us start somewhere here. Here, okay, they are unable and they are unwilling. See, they do not have technical skills to handle and they do not have willingness to work. So what can be your style? You can't have any discussion something this way that way. No, you have to direct them, because they are unable and unwilling. You have to direct how to do things. Simple. Again, if they misbehave, yes, disciplinary procedures will come into motion. So they are unwilling and unable. Your style should be, leadership style should be directive. You need to direct, give directions. This is the job to be done this way. Please do it. That's it. Coming to this block. This block is they are unable, at the same time willing. Please note. They are willing. Sorry, excuse me. They are willing to do. They are willing to do, but they are unable. What to do now? This is called high task and relationship orientations. You have to train them because they are unable. They are unable, but they are good enough. They are willing to do. So high task and relationship orientation, meaning this is high. Or you need to be careful with regard to inability of the people. Train them. This is called high task and relationship orientation style here. Look at this. They are willing and they are able. They have the job maturity levels, they have the willingness levels again. So you don't need not have to do a lot of administration, but simply monitoring them. That's all. Anyway, they are willing, they are able. So monitor them. That's all. For example, they are unwilling and they are able. They are good enough. They have the technical knowledge or ability to do, but they are unwilling. When they are unwilling, you have to support them to the many. Why they are unwilling, you have to identify. If they are indifferent, yes, of course, there is a disciplinary procedure. But somewhere they are lacking, and there may be some problems. Why do they not going good in that? Like environment may not be okay, or whatever it is, they cannot do. So you have to create a supportive or a participative environment. See here, it is directive, high task orientation and relationship orientation, or monitoring, or supportive participative. Hey, again, we'll be discussing in detail just now other things. Again, this is also very important. Leader member exchange theory is there. See, what the question is, the compatibility issues come here. In case of human resources, only compatibility issues come. But in case of physical resources, no compatibility issues. For example, you are operating a laptop. Okay, when you are pressing a key designated to that function, it will function automatically. You have a mouse operation, for example, then the mouse is clicked. You know what is meant by left click and right click, and according to the designated functions, you find that action goes on there. There's no compatibility unless otherwise there is a big problem of compatibility. But in case of human resources, compatibility issues are very difficult to handle. So leader member exchange, how do they exchange themselves? Where there are people, there are individual differences, what we say. X is not equal to Y is not equal to Z, as a matter of fact. So what happens here when subordinates will have higher performance ratings, less turnover, and greater job satisfaction? How it happens? When leader member exchange process is set very good, based on the competency and compatibility good enough, then of course the leader can be good. So leader member exchange theory is said to be very, very important. Let us see this leader member exchange theory further. See the blocks: in group and out group. What do you mean by in group and out group? See, the leaders may take few people uh, together in the inner circle. Not that they lose other employees, but they are kept and kept at a distance. Reasons may be very many. This is personal compatibility, subordinate competence, and other extroverted personality. The leader looks at different people, like A, B, C subordinates are good enough. D, E, F are not that good enough. There may be those people may be little indifferent. So, in the process of getting things done, the leader will be taking A, B, C together in confidence, into confidence. So there will be a trust, and there will be high interactions with the leader, with A, B, C. And here there are in DEF, there is only formal relationships. See, here is a higher interaction, intense relationships are there. That means the leader believes, trusts A, B, C. And that's why the leader member exchange theory examines the compatibility. See, leader is compatible with A, B, C only. That's why they are in group. And here there will be formal relations, just formal relationships, not intense interactions take place, no higher interactions. That's why they're called out group. So the leader judiciously takes into account two groups of people in the subordinate class, wherein who are good enough can gel with the leader well, and who are not good enough cannot gel with the leader. That's what we mean by it. See, in group and that's why it is called leader member exchange theory. Okay, just like machines, no, people cannot be treated like that. X machine, Y machine, Z machine are all standardized. There's no issue at all. But in case of a person, a B person, and C person, as such, human beings, and no compatibility issues may come here. Okay. Next aspect here is situational leadership. We were talking about it, hence Blanchard's theory. For more explanatory the thing we are talking, we would like to explain further on this. Let's see. What is the situational leadership? Wherein we take into account one, the leader, number two, the subordinate, number three, the situation in which leader subordinates will be working together. And when you explain these things, we have two dimensions to talk to. One is task, direction, what is to be done and how it should be directed by the leader. Number two is relationship. Just now we were talking supportive. Most of them relationship oriented people will be supporting subordinates. Task oriented people will be interested in directing the people only. Let us examine how the things work here. In the earlier session, just now we talked about two things. Can you just look at this graph, please? Is it clear? There are four leadership styles, and this one, we are giving here the maturity of the subordinates, development level of the followers. Subordinates are followers, what we can say. Development level. In this, we take job maturity and psychological maturity together. And see, D4, D3, D2, D1. D1 is low, meaning development level of the subordinates or followers is very, very low. And here D2, D3, D4, it is high. That means development level of the followers is very high. Development level means they must be psychologically mature and job wise also mature. They must be willing to work and they're able to work. And here, coming to D1, they are not willing to work and they're not able to work also. And on y axis, we take styles now. Let's see. Here is directive behavior and here is supportive behavior. This is called task behavior, issuance of directions. Here it is supportive, consultation and all that, you need to have. Let us examine 1, 2, 3, 4 styles, how it goes. No uniform style. That's why what we are talking about it. You need to answer task and you need also to talk on the texture of the subordinates as such, meaning the composition of the subordinates, psychological willingness and job security, job what do you call, knowing of the job pretty well, job maturity. Let us examine what happens. See, let us start with this block. Okay, it is the supportive behavior. That means uh, leaders' supportive behavior is low, and the development of the subordinates level is high. See here, low supportive and low directive behavior. That means the S4 level, where you have a good subordinates, you have followers, you have, they are able to do and their willingness to do. So why to do on your own? You can simply delegate things. Am I clear what I'm saying? You can simply delegate. Don't keep everything on your head, because you have able subordinates and you have willing subordinates to work with. Why to worry? So that's called delegation. Coming to S3, high supportive and low directive behavior, meaning what happens here is, though the subordinates are able, sometimes you need to support them for a reason. You need to support them. I mean, they are not uh, uh, totally matured and totally able to do as in the case of S4. In S3, sometimes you can't fully delegate, because they may have their own problems to explain to the leader and all that. So what happens is, you are supposed to use this style called supporting style, supportive. You come to this S2, see, high directive and high supportive behavior, very very important here again, because when you see here, they come to this D1 D2 levels. Here it is D4 D3. S4 means it is equal to D4. S3 is equal to D3. I mean, combination, I mean to say. But meaning that the subordinates are coming down from high to moderate. So when they are not fully aware of things and all that, they cannot be delegated work. You can't delegate. That's why you support, sometimes support. Okay, coming to this. Again, maturity level of the subordinates, development level of subordinates comes down from D2 to D3 to D2 here. But they're okay, but coming down, moderate to low. Their journey is like this, from moderate to low. So what happens then here? You need to coach them. You need to coach. Supporting is different from coaching mandate. Supporting is just like that. You can give them the supporting hand and tell them the fundamentals and all that, and they will work out. But here coaching means you have to take them hands on. You have to take them hands on, and you have to sit with them, and you need to answer all the problems. That's called coaching. In the earlier session also we were talking a session on coaching. And what is S1? This is a very, very problematic area. You see, it is D1 on the development side of the followers, subordinates. Very low. They are not willing to work, and they are not able to work also. Then there is no other alternative except to direct them. This is the job to be done this way, this way, this way. Like high directive behavior and low supportive behavior. So this graph explains. So what is that on a graph, two dimension? Are you task oriented, or are you relationship oriented? As a matter of fact, okay, the choice depends on the structure and the relationships as such. No, the leadership, of course, I need not have to explain these things, because we have just now what we did is the just same. When we talk about no maturity of the subordinates, there is the job maturity and psychological maturity, it is called. Job maturity is about ability and knowledge and skill. They can have more, they can have less, a great deal, quite a bit, some, and a little. Job maturity, it is called. Same is psychological maturity, their willingness, their confidence levels to handle the job, and their commitment, the right attitude of handling the job. And they can be on this scale also like this. So when we say subordinates, I mean followers, they should have job maturity, they should also have a psychological maturity. If they do not have, and there are different styles of leadership that are to be demonstrated. Yes, one is called telling, S2 is called selling, and S3 is called participating along with them, supporting and all, and S4 is called delegating. Just we have a able subordinates, delegate. There is no need for you to closely monitor them. These are the styles of functioning. And that's what we are talking about followers maturity levels and their readiness levels, job as well as relationships. Now when we were talking about the historical analysis of the leadership theories that are explained, now what are the contemporary issues in leadership? That's something interesting. Contemporary means today, at this given point of time, the changed scenarios, when the complexities are more, the organizations have a lot of challenges, big challenges, and no competitive driven markets, and change is to be taken in, and you need to train your employees in order to achieve more and more and more markets, because they're on the other side. You have a lot of threats from the marketing perspective. So that's what it means. So you the leader, is a center of the organization, have to influence systems for that. Let us examine what are the uh, what call contemporary theories on leadership. One or two, I'll just stop here, and then we can take up for detailed discussion transformational leadership. One is inspirational approaches to leadership, what is called charismatic leadership theory. See, the leaders, by virtue of their presence in a setting, some people are just to be charismatic, and few people may not have that kind of charisma. Now, what is meant by this? Followers make attributions of heroic or extraordinary leadership abilities when they observe certain behaviors. See, when people are there taken in with a label called CEO or vice president or whatever it is, then they start functioning. Followers make a lot of attributions of heroic or extraordinary leadership abilities. It's a question of understanding levels of the subordinates about the heroic qualities or extraordinary leadership abilities of the leaders. So when they observe certain behaviors, they will have their own mental perception of Mr. X or Y or Z, who are taken in by label as CEO or vice president, president, or whatever it is. So, what is then charismatic leaders? How people, some people are considered to be exhibiting extraordinary leadership abilities, and people love them for that. And whatever they say, they accept them as a hero, and whatever they say, subordinates will simply follow on. Let us examine what is this charisma, whatever you call it, in personalities. Charismatic leaders, one, they have a vision, meaning what they're just quite clear, not about today, but tomorrow, day after. They have a clear vision in mind. How do they want to travel and take subordinates with them in the goal achievement process and all that? Futuristic vision, one. Number two, they are willing to take personal risks to achieve their vision. Mind it, they are risk oriented. That means they will not take step back when there are challenging situations. They walk. They are in the front. They are willing to take personal risks to achieve the vision. So they demonstrate their willingness to take risks, personal risks as such. That's why they are acclaimed to be their hero, subordinates heroes as such. Third, they are very sensitive to followers' needs. Please note that the followers are human beings, set of human beings called subordinates to work under the guidance or with the guidance of the leader as such. So all charismatic leaders are said to be very sensitive to followers' needs. They are very good enough in reading the subordinates' difficulties or whatever you call it, followers' some difficulty levels and all, and they will honor the followers' needs as such. And number four, they exhibit behaviors that are out of the ordinary. Fantastic. See, because today's organizations require this kind of extraordinary quality people in the organizational settings. What are the behaviors they exhibit? They are out of ordinary. Ordinary people will be demonstrating this way, that way, but extraordinary people will be demonstrating their skills and, in reorienting the organization vision is something fantastic. So fourth one is exhibit behaviors that are out of the ordinary. So that's what we call charismatic leadership quality. And charismatic leadership, the key characteristics, just to explore further on. Number one is vision and articulation, meaning that they do not simply have a vision, they express as an ideal goal that that proposes a future which is better than the status quo. That means status quo means as is where is condition. Status quo means as is where is condition, the present state of affairs, and is able to clarify the importance of the vision in terms that they're understandable to others. See, why we have to move faster, why say 2040 is important for us, what to do in by 2040. We are in 2025, 2030, 2035. What is at least 5 years short run vision to long run vision as such. They are visionaries and they articulate the vision, meaning that they don't keep a vision document with themselves as such. Writing down a vision document is easy. Articulating the vision document, what to do, what not to do in the given setting, and let the subordinates also be completely informed, that approach is very, very important. Vision and articulation. The second one is personal risk. They take high personal risk, I have already told you just now. And at any cost, they engage in self-sacrifice to achieve their mission and vision. That's very important. They demonstrate. So people love them automatically. Third, environmental sensitivity. Very, very interesting. Environmental sensitivity. They are able to make realistic assessments of the environmental constraints. Let it be physical environment, financial environment, economic environment, global environments. Because resource utilization should be carefully planned to manage the changes as such. So they are good enough in environmental sensitivity. And number four is sensitivity to followers' needs. We have already talked about it just now. And five is unconventional behavior. They are innovative. They are extraordinary. They engage in behaviors that are perceived as novel and counter to norms again. They may deviate the norms. It does not mean that to derail the organization is their objective. No, but sometimes they counter to norms, and their behavior is said to be novel. And of course, organizational objectives at the top. So these are the key characteristics of charismatic leaders. So we stop here. In the next session, we talk about transactional leaders and transformational leaders. The next session we take. And the floor now is open for